What is embracing authenticity? Well, first let's answer, what is authenticity? Dictionary.com states that authenticity means representing one's true nature of beliefs. When put like this, embracing authenticity is seen as necessary in many situations. Phrases like just be you or be authentic are taglines that people use to encourage authenticity. To many, authenticity is a gold standard of a good leader. We like people who are consistent, who we can trust, and who are reliable. However, authenticity has become completely misunderstood. Nowadays, because authenticity has become understood as an adherence to one's character and values, too many embracers have become complacent and stubborn. They lack flexibility in their character, and it ends up diminishing their effectiveness as leaders. Essentially, this is the authenticity paradox, as explained by organizational behavior professor Erminia Ibarra. In her Harvard Business Review article, Ibarra focuses on a food company production manager whose tough guy leadership was viewed as a detriment to his team. However, this production manager, believing he was embracing authenticity, viewed his aggressive and dogmatic leadership style as an effective asset rather than an obstacle for his team. Ibarra also personally explains how her preference to avoid confrontation as a teacher resulted in an inability to hold the attention of her class. Her unwillingness to adapt to the situation resulted in the same consistently poor results. Many of us have faced similar issues. I personally remember when I deliberately ignored my teacher's feedback on my essay because I felt her writing style contradicted mine. I view myself as a creative rather than an analyst, so my essays included descriptive and lengthy storytelling, whereas my teacher preferred direct, concise, analytical writing. Another example is when I avoided going to a meeting in an attempt to avoid awkward first encounters, viewing myself as an inherent introvert. We all like to stay in our areas of comfort, and thus we mask our comfort and complacency as our authenticity. But this is the wrong approach. Professor Ibarra explains that a personal narrative is a mesh between one's past experiences and new challenges to come. And Ibarra isn't the only one to promote this philosophy. The Buddhist doctrine of Anada states that the self is constantly changing. A great way to conceptualize this philosophy is the Buddhist example of a candle flame. On the surface, a candle flame is seemingly the same flame that it was just an instant ago, but in reality, the flame is sustained on a completely different part of the candle wick. Or another one, the stream. A river may outwardly appear like it's a fixed thing. Yet the river cannot really be defined as a definite thing because its content, the water, is constantly changing, whether deluged, aired, or flowing. Like the river and the flame, we are always subject to change. Just like we were all young at one point, doesn't mean we stay forever young. Or just because we've all done something that wasn't smart, doesn't mean that we'll never be capable people. It's not that authenticity isn't real. Identity, character, personality, and authenticity are all very real things. For example, introversion or extroversion, agreeableness or disagreeableness, or type A versus type B personalities are real traits that people have. However, we too often cling to these categories because they're comfortable, without realizing that these things are bound to change, just like the candle flame or the river. Our characters are never set in stone, and thus embracing ourselves or embracing authenticity in the traditional sense is a futile matter. We need to be playful and fluid with our personalities, especially as leaders. If we have the opportunity to change, it's important that we do so. Professor Ibarra recommends that we experiment with different leadership styles, whether aggressive, playful, strict, overbearing, open-minded, or passive. She explains that it's okay to be inconsistent from one day to the next. That's not being fake. It's how we experiment to figure out what's right for the new challenges and circumstances we face. We like to view ourselves in a certain way. We have specific character traits that we feel shape our identity and make us special. These traits are important to us for a reason, but at times they could be holding you back. Being cognizant to these traits and shedding these traits can also be important tools. The next time I have a meeting, instead of ignoring it, I should attend and try seeing my introversion as fluid. Or the next time my teacher requests concise writing, instead of sticking to my guns, I can be open-minded to her suggestions and writing style. While this may not be traditionally authentic, it certainly is more beneficial. By dropping the limitations of our character, we can change for the better. So it's not that embracing authenticity is bad. It's really good when defined correctly. When we view authenticity not as a submission to preference, but rather an open-mindedness to character, we can make the necessary adjustments to adapt to different situations. We all know that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Adherence to personalities, citing it as embracing authenticity, especially in the face of adversity or challenge, starts to take the shape of stubbornness, complacency, and insanity. So don't be afraid to embrace authenticity, but let's first redefine what authenticity is. Thank you.